Have you ever seen an epic band fail live on stage? The kind of fail that's so bad you want to look away, but you just can't stop watching. Like when a guitar breaks in the middle of the set, or someone starts singing out of key, or the lead singer forgets the words, or somebody literally falls off the stage. When something like that happens, the whole band literally gets out of rhythm. The whole thing falls apart. The opposite is also true. When things are in rhythm or in harmony with each other, everything's just better.
And that's true about the vital parts of our faith as well. In the same way a doctor calls things like our pulse, blood pressure, and body temperature are vitals because they are important for the function of our body. Jesus said that there are certain things that are vital to the overall function of our faith. We've learned in this series that he says loving God, loving others, and even understanding our own value are all vital to us experiencing life the way God wants us to.
When all three vital parts of our faith are working together, our lives tend to be really healthy. On the other hand, when we struggle in even just one of these areas, our whole lives can get thrown off track. But if we're being real, I think we'd say that these three things are incredibly hard to keep up with. Loving God, loving others, and valuing ourselves all at the same time sounds like a lot of work, right?
Sometimes we can get worn out from loving God because it feels like following Him means we have to miss out on a lot of the fun our friends are having. Or we get tired of loving others because sometimes people don't love us back, don't appreciate us, or in our eyes aren't worth the effort. Or we lose sight of our own value because the world around us constantly tells us we need to do something different, something more to increase our value. There are all sorts of things that can throw what's vital to our faith out of rhythm in our lives. And before we know it, we've stopped prioritizing and paying attention to one of these things, and the other vital parts of our faith start to suffer soon after.
Maybe we stop believing we are valuable because of something someone says, and without even realizing it, it's harder for us to show love to other people. Or we stop prioritizing our love for God because focusing on Him daily feels like too much work. But when we are not connected to God, it makes seeing how valuable we are to Him really difficult. Or we give up on loving someone who's constantly unloving to us, but it causes us to feel guilty and distant from God.
There are a bunch of different ways that our vitals can get out of whack. If you're anything like me, there's a good chance you've experienced one or all of these things. And even if you're brand new to all this church stuff, you've probably experienced how connected your love for yourself and your love for other people tends to be. What if there's a chance that love for God is actually connected to it all too?
What we're talking about feels so difficult, and that's because it is. Keeping all of the vital parts of our faith in check can be hard, especially if we're trying to do it by ourselves. But what if I told you it didn't have to be that way? What if I told you there was a way we could keep the vital parts of our faith functioning and healthy, and we didn't have to do it alone?
Thankfully, there is. Jesus didn't just tell us to do these things and then leave us to figure out how to handle it all by ourselves. Instead, He offered us a way to keep all of our vitals healthy with His help. So let's take a look at the story from the book of John. John is one of the 4 books in the Bible written about Jesus and His life on earth. It was written by one of Jesus's disciples, someone who was close to Him and spent a lot of time with Him while He was here. So it's a first-hand account of who Jesus was and what He did during His time on earth. Pretty cool, right?
This particular story in John begins with Jesus walking with some of His closest friends in Jerusalem. As Jesus and His buddies were walking, they started to have a conversation that I think can help us understand a little more about how to love God, others, and ourselves. Here's what Jesus said to them. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener.
Okay, by itself, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this is the way Jesus spoke. He often used word pictures to help His followers relate and understand what He was trying to tell them. In this case, it was an image of a vine and a gardener. He went on, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing.
Okay, so picture this with me. Think about a plant for a second. If you have ever seen a branch, then you know that it's part of the plant. It's created to spread out from the plant and bloom or grow whatever it's intended to create. But if the branch is broken, no longer connected to the vine or root of the tree, then it can't produce the fruit. On its own, it can't do what it was made to do. So connection to the vine is a vital part of the branch producing fruit.
Who are the branches? We are. And if we're connected to Jesus, we're able to produce fruit, meaning the vital parts of our faith. Things like love, joy, peace, hope, patience. All of those things we have more of when we're connected to Jesus.
Jesus went on to say, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love." Staying connected to Jesus means connecting to his love by doing things like following his commands, loving him through worship, remembering who he is, praying to him, and reading the Bible. What's cool about this is that his love and how we stay connected to his love work in rhythm like instruments in a band. If we keep God's commands, think about him, and spend time with him through prayer, worship, and reading the Bible, we stay connected to his love. It's a rhythm, one that only works when we stay connected to the source of the rhythm, God.
Think of it like your cell phone. Your phone can only hold a charge for a certain amount of time before you have to recharge it. So every night, you probably reconnect your phone to the power source so that it can be ready to use the next day. And if you don't connect it, what happens? The battery dies, and we all know there's nothing worse than a dead phone battery.
Think of Jesus as that same source of power for your faith. If you want to stay in rhythm, you have to connect back to his power every single day. His love for us gives us the strength we need to live the way he wants us to live. In fact, connecting to his love for us is the only way we'll be able to love him, others, and ourselves, because a relationship with Jesus fuels our love for God, others, and ourselves.
God gives us these vital things about our faith, not because he wants things to be challenging or difficult for us, but because he knows they're key to living our best possible lives. He knows that if we do these things, our lives will be better. Connecting with Jesus is what helps us stay obedient to Jesus. It's what keeps us going without wearing out or running down, because a relationship with Jesus fuels our love for God, others, and ourselves.
So this week, I want to challenge you to do just one thing. Focus on what seems most out of rhythm in your faith and life. Is it loving God, loving others, valuing yourself? Whatever it is, bring it to God. Connect to him by committing to be a part of his church, talking to him, or asking for help from the people he's placed in your life, like your small group leader. Work on bringing whatever feels out of whack back to a healthy place.
Now, if that feels a little overwhelming, remember this. At the end of these verses, Jesus gave his disciples just one command, one vital thing they need to do. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Start there. If something feels out of rhythm, remember Jesus' love for you and connect to it. And then out of that love, show some love to others and yourself. As you head out today, think about what you might want to get back in rhythm. And remember, a relationship with Jesus fuels our love for God, others, and ourselves. Now I want you to think about this question. What's one way I connect with Jesus most?